12, 13-year-old boys shouldn't have thoughts so sinister. A child shouldn't be capable of crimes this heinous. Something went wrong somewhere in their childhood, somewhere along the way.
Now, the details in this alleged crime are very disturbing. We want to warn you. Police reports say the victim was leaving her friend's house when 13-year-old Nelson Nunez grabbed her, forced her on a couch inside the Greenhaven Community Garden, and raped her, while 12-year-old Josiah Jones and Xavier Tyson, who was 14 at the time, restrained her. Police say Jones put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming. The victim says it went on for about 30 minutes, and the boys stopped when they heard her father calling her name.
You just heard that. 30 minutes of pure torture, of hell, of her community and life just failing her. This poor little girl, 12 years old, I just can't imagine the feeling, what she must be feeling. But also my second thought are these boys' innocence was stolen somewhere along the way too. I don't know whether they've been touched before too. I'm thinking maybe they're watching hardcore porn, or they've seen assault before at home or somewhere else. But 12, 13-year-old boys shouldn't have thoughts so sinister. A child shouldn't be capable of crimes this heinous. Something went wrong somewhere in their childhood, somewhere along the way. And looking at it from a historical lens, there's an ingrained trauma when it comes to Black people's sexuality. I've talked about this before, and many of you subscribed because of the No One Cares About Black Male Victims video. Slave masters made our ancestors do this very same thing for generations. They would make 12, 13, 14-year-old boys, young bucks, as they called them, have sex with the same age girls or even younger, as long as they had a period, and to breed us, to make more slaves. Many of us are the product of grape somewhere along the way, and that's really sombering to think about, but it's true. And when you have this historical trauma, it doesn't just go away. Trauma is sometimes stored in your DNA. I'm not saying it's in Black people's DNA to be violent or that these boys committed this terrible act because it's in their DNA. But there's an extra layer when we talk about Black people who are descendants of slaves in America and the Caribbean. And this historical context should not be ignored nor forgotten. I'm saying generational trauma affects how we treat each other, how we raise our kids. And I mean, who raised these kids? Who raised these kids' parents? You know, who continued this cycle of abuse onto this girl? It's all one big cycle of harm.
So you're 12 years old? You're 13 years old?
Police say the co-defendants, Nelson Nunez, Josiah Jones, and Xavier Tyson, all played a part in the crime that took place in an Overtown community garden in June.
You were indicted by a grand jury and transferred to from juvenile court to adult court. That's why you are here.
We've learned from the founders of the community garden Greenhaven Project telling Local 10 the situation has been very saddening. They say the garden is closed off to the public outside of normal operating hours, and on that day, a construction company cut the side gate, which allowed for anyone to enter the garden. The organization said it extended support to the victim, adding, "We will always be here to support in the best way possible, and that our extension of love and resources will always be available to the victim and her family, which we very much cared for." Both the 12 and 13-year-old are at the West Detention Center, both of them being held there without bond. As far as Xavier Taylor, the 15-year-old, we have not seen that he has seen a judge just yet, but when he does, we'll update you on what happens there. And we have also reached out to everyone involved in this case, their representatives, and that includes the victim in this case, and we have not heard back from anyone just yet.
And I can't imagine this girl reintegrating back into middle school life. At 12 years old, I was still playing with dolls. And now she's had this horrible thing happen to her. She's forever changed. And these kids are being tried as adults. And their life is forever changed. But this victim, our victims are, I can imagine that it's so hard to crawl out of that dark space, and you carry so much shame for this thing that was done to you. And I just hope she gets the therapy, and I hope her family is healthy. I really do. It said that her dad was calling for her, so the dad is present in her life. I hope they don't blame her, and I hope that they're just taking care of her. And I know it's been a minute. A lot of you subscribed from that blackmail victims video I talked about. And I want to say thank you. And it's taken me a minute to come back because it's really hard talking about these hard-hitting topics. And I want to integrate lighter things on this channel, like music and maybe TV shows, but mainly music stuff because I like music. But I don't want to lose momentum if people subscribe to me for one thing and I start doing other stuff. So I've just been probably overthinking, but yes, I have some new content cooking, and as always, stay safe.